show the photos of that door and listen with you. But after discovering this forbidden door, I just tried my best to ignore it and enjoy the rest of it. I made myself a sandwich and sat in the living room. But after scrolling through my phone for about 30 minutes, giving myself the necessary daily intake of brain rot needed to function, if you see a video, I just kept thinking about the room that was locked. So I crouched back upstairs for another look. This time, I pressed my ear against the looking door, holding my breath to listen better. I didn't know what I was expecting, but I was just so fascinated with what could be on the other side of this. And then something happened. A faint humming noise. So quiet that I couldn't tell if it came from inside that room or if it was just my brain playing tricks on me. Because I have no idea why, but my brain loves to gaslight me. Like whenever I'm in the shower, I'll be hearing noises that makes it sound like my family is screaming in the living room as if they're getting attacked. So I'll get out as soon as possible, only to see my parents in the living room chilling. So I didn't know if this was just one of those scenarios or if it was real. But either way, my imagination spiraled out of control. Was this some sort of get out situation where the host lures people to come inside and then experiments on them? Was I about to end up as a true crime podcast episode? Social media creator known for the phrase "one love" found in Airbnb. Now that I think about it, that's really how I'm going to be remembered, huh? Isn't it? I got to do something important in my life. So if this ever actually happens, they have something good to say about me. But anyways, I decided to snap a photo of the door and send it to my friend. I mysteriously disappeared. No, it wasn't. Is what I said. He responded in the most appropriate way possible by sending me a meme and shooting a fadeaway. Why would he? Did he even read the text I sent? Probably not. But either way, this response actually kind of helped me because it eased my tension and made me feel good. So after deciding that the noises wasn't real, I went back to the living room, down to watch some TV. It was until, well, in a few hours later, midnight, with my guard finally down, sprawled out on the couch, I heard something that made me realize the locked door wasn't just creepy. It was potentially dangerous.
I'll have to sneak around those workers to grab that capsule.
Very nice. Where you dig him up next?
Yeah, as my clothes were getting heavy, and I was finally starting to forget about that weird door upstairs. A thump. I froze mid-yawn. This wasn't a quiet little creak that old houses make, or something that my brain could trick me with. This was real, and it was directly above me in that room. Then it followed by another sound, and another. These sounds had patterns, as if someone was moving and grabbed the remote and hit mute on the TV. The sudden silence somehow felt worse. I held my breath and listened, afraid even the breathing would mix what that sound was upstairs. But for about 30 seconds, there wasn't another sound. Once again, I tried convincing myself that everything was just okay. Maybe a bird was walking on the roof. A really, really fat bird. Well, who knows? Maybe it just started hailing. But then I hear another noise. And this one couldn't have been mistaken for a bird on a pole. You know why? Because this time, I heard a voice. Real full statue mode. Barely breathing. I just knew every possible scenario. Was it someone true? Was it a person? Or was it something even more scary, like young Sheldon? Then I heard the footsteps again. They moved from one side of the ceiling to another. Slow, deliberate steps, like someone was trying to be quiet, but they were unaware that I was below them. This wasn't my imagination anymore, or just
This could be useful.
It was a person. I sat frozen, clutching a pillow as if that was going to do anything against the intruders. That response completely glitched. I wasn't doing either. Just sitting there like a deer in the headlights. Footsteps stopped again, and it was complete silence. Then, something was multiple drawers, as if someone was searching for something. Then reality hit me hard. Someone was probably up there right now, going through my stuff. The sound continued for what felt like forever, but was probably just a few minutes. Open, close, footsteps. Open, close again. Not knowing what I should do, I texted my friend group. Someone is in the Airbnb with me upstairs, moving around. What should I do? Their responses came instantly. Great advice, guys. Nothing like your friends making jokes when you're freaking out. I know it might sound stupid to text your friends in this scenario, but it just gave me a sense of
robbers are breaking into a store nearby.
deciding what to do next. Because I know all we were thinking. Leave the house. That's what I wanted to do. But remember, my room was also upstairs, so when I got there, I put all my stuff up there, including my keys.
That looks like a break-in.
My car, but also,
Yeah, it
I did
is.
not want to go back up there. So instead, I just stayed put. Have you ever been in a moment where the silence becomes more terrifying than the noise? That's where I was. The footsteps had stopped, and not in a maybe they're gone, but in that horror movie,
TVs,
they were
maybe?
for that perfect time.
Whatever it is,
At this
we can
point,
pawn
I
it.
crouched behind the kitchen counter, clutching a butter knife, as if it would actually do
expected
anything.
more from
Just
the
trying my
Upper
best
West
to be
Side.
quiet. I turned all the lights off in hopes that whoever was out there wouldn't know that anyone was downstairs. But the thing about hiding in the dark is that it works both ways. Whatever's making this sound can't hear anything. I can't hear anything either until I noticed something that made my heart
Won't even know they
drop.
got
Shadows moving across the wall. I checked exactly person. The faint glow from the street lamps outside made that shadow seem 10 times bigger than it was, making my heart pounce. Suddenly, it started to tighten on me.
Hope it stays that way.
I've never won a fight in my life. The closest thing I've ever had to combat training was watching these YouTube videos while in an Uber that were called self-defense moves anyone can do. Because the driver was a little creepy, so I started playing those videos out loud. So basically,
burglary?
I was doomed. The shadows stretched toward the ceiling. Someone definitely was running down the stairs. Time slowed down as I watched this mystery person walk down the stairs of what I thought was my Airbnb. Once again, my brain went wild. Was this a serial killer charging solo Airbnb guests? Did they have a secret entrance to that long roof? Was what I was past? I'm gonna check into a meeting. Stairs.
Not today, burglar.
I pictured them standing there, tilted, trying to figure out if they were alone, but now he went towards them. They were looking for valuables and then trying people in the movies would do right before they get out, so I stayed quiet. Then I saw my chance. The shadow moved toward the front door, going for both me and leading to the I was gonna run. Now was the time. I was doing all sorts of calculations in my brain. Distance to the front door. How fast could I unlock it? Keep the gate in the backyard and run away. Could I do all this before they caught me? And I was like, because my keys were upstairs. You
know it down!
I was just like, man, listen, I can run. The plan wasn't great. Waiting to get discovered seemed way worse. So I slowly went.
I got it!
And I took one step like a floorboard. It froze. I stopped moving too. For like an eternity, we both stayed completely still. I was completely exposed if they turned around. But then something weird happened. The shadow moved again, still towards the front door, so that I thought, maybe they were just turning out. My heart was pounding so hard, pretty sure it was visible through my shirt.
And I
So
better
the
not
deepest
see you
part
trying to break in again.
what I was gonna do. I was focused on what they were doing at the front door.
Yeah, that
I was
sounded
gonna
good.
make a run. 3, 2, 1. And I launched myself forward like a ninja who got his training specifically from Ninjago. With the back door in sight, one hand stretched toward freedom, and the other hand holding a butter knife as if Gordon Ramsay just told me he didn't like my cooking. But just as my fingers were about to touch the back door, the lights turned on. And suddenly, I was standing there completely exposed, like when your mom walks in during the embarrassing part of the movie. Time stopped. I had placed above my head who had a psychopath. I finally saw this person that was at the end of the hallway, but they just looked. He was wearing pajama pants with the t-shirt, looking at me with the exact same terrified expression I had towards him. For a split second, we were just two scared people having a silent staring contest with each other in the middle of the night. Then, we both screamed, "Who are you?" He yelled. "Who am I? Who are you?" I yelled back, while jabbing my butter knife in his direction. "What are you doing in my Airbnb?" As I said that, he retreated toward the front door with his hand on the wall for support. I stumbled back into the kitchen, refusing to take my eyes off of him as I tripped over furniture. Then he says, "You feel confused." With my voice slightly calmer but still shaking, I say, what are you talking about?" Then he goes, "I moved upstairs for the weekend." That made me pause, because he said, upstairs room, as in singular room, not the whole house. He must have sensed my confusion because he slowly reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. "I can show you my booking confirmation," he said. As he turned his phone screen toward me, something started nagging in the background. Did I actually read the full listing description? In this
Doesn't
place,
get
where
much
they have
hungrier than
three
stealing
pictures
from a
of
homeless shelter.
even from across the room, I see an Airbnb logo and booking confirmation on his phone that said upstairs bedroom. And shared kitchen. My entire body went numb. I didn't book the whole house. I rented a singular room in a house where the other rooms could also be rented. The mysterious area.
Open the hell up!
It was just where this dude was staying. I lowered my pathetic button, with my face turning red from embarrassment instead of fear now. And I said to him, "So you're not robbing the place?" As he lets out a nervous laugh, he goes, "No, I was just getting water.
Spider-Man can't save you!
Because
Only opening this door!
I didn't know why they were standing in the yard. Yeah. So, we ended up laughing about it, and everything was okay. This is why you should always read the fine
I
print.
ain't scared of you!
And maybe he's up in this true crime podcast. My paranoia nearly turned me into a headline I would have said. Psycho 6'3" handsome man attacks fellow guests with butter. Airbnb misunderstanding. That's definitely what a headline of probably was. Right? Well, one thing despite his secret, Diddy hasn't happened. Neither of them are allowed within 400 feet of a school. Now, we all know why Diddy ain't allowed in schools, so why?
How do you leave?
Well, let me explain. So a couple years ago, let's just say, she was not afraid to speak her mind. Whatever she was thinking, she would say it. So she found an answer to a question she didn't know. She was teaching.
You ain't getting me so easy.
The kid raised his hand.
I'll make this simple. You wanna live? Open the damn door.
So she did that. It's great. So if you put a filter,
Last chance.
mistakes to get to know each other. So every student has the same friends before class. It's always relationship. This was the moment I knew there was going to be a long year. April 1st, 1998. I'll never forget the date because April 1st.
No way in hell I'm letting you in.
We're clear. You can unlock the door.
So the kid is listening to what Hawkins was thinking and goes,
Thank you.
how did you ask that? And you could tell she was hoping someone was going to ask that. So she says, well, my husband was quite the daredevil. And one day, he decided to go skiing. He had done plenty of times before, but this day was different. Because when he tried pulling his parachute, it wouldn't open. Then, with tears literally falling down her face, she goes, and sadly, he fell all the way to the ground and passed away. Looks like I'm taking that off my bucket list. But obviously, this is super tragic, right? Not funny at all. But when she said this, me and a friend that was in this same class had to make direct eye contact with each other. So I couldn't help but let her a little laugh. It wasn't because I thought her husband passing away was funny. Of course not. But when you and your homie make eye contact during an awkward situation in class, you have no idea. You're gonna laugh. So after I did, the teacher looks at me thinking I was laughing at her story, and she goes, Taylor, don't ever disrespect me like that again. Well, first of all, my name is Tyler. That's not important right now. So after this interaction, she didn't help me the whole school year. Any chance she had to get me in trouble, she took it. So it was no surprise that I ultimately was the one who got fired. How did this happen, you ask? Just kidding. No one was actually asking it. But I went to the parents' closet and I looked at them asking me the question, so I had to ask them to myself, okay? I wonder what my parents are thinking when they hear me in the closet just screaming to no one. That's what they're shaking their head and thinking, our son's never gonna get a girlfriend. Okay, back to the story though. So how did I get my teacher fired? Well, when the school year first started, she told the class this was gonna be her final year of teaching, and after it ended, she was gonna send her to go to
Hey, Gab saying there's a helicopter flying around like it's possessed.
her students were so into the sunset. There was not selling it because one day in class,
I'm not Spider-Man.
students were always misbehaving. She was really 5 feet tall and not intimidating at all. And because she would always say something she was wrong, students would cheer her all the time because they were just hoping to get a reaction. I can't believe we were begging the teacher. Now, I'm embarrassed of how rude we were, but it was just a reality at the time. One time she even told us that her mom passed away. The students literally responded by saying, to this man. Rest in peace, Roxy. Black, my girl. So I'm telling you, we were in an evil class. I don't even blame her for doing what she did. This particular day, it was even worse because this was the day after the Super Bowl, and she was a huge Bengals fan. And to be one of those teams playing in the game. Now, unfortunately, they lost. So she was more angry than I've ever seen her this day. And I don't want to speculate anything, but by the way she was acting, I'm pretty sure she was hungover. So you can tell if someone even sneezed the wrong way that day, she was going to cry. Because of this, the students were even more motivated to rage bait her. So the bell rings, class starts, and she tells us to get our notebooks out because we're going to be taking notes. Now, the first thing we did during class this day to make her mad was playing a game called Stick It. Let me
Don't think
explain
those
it to you.
guns are for paintballs.
This class was going through cancer treatments at the time. He's healthy and well now, praise God. But at the time, due to the treatments he was getting,
You know Spidey's running equipped for this.
criminals! So to lighten the mood,
He's mine!
just to people during class and basically and laying them
Someone help me out!
to do to someone who can't do that's right, when the teacher would turn towards the grade
Need help here!
Keeping the neighborhood safe from rock-on weapons. Spider-Man style.
So she yelled at the
Police will be here soon. What is my cue to leave?
be the kid with cancer and the kid who threw the suction cup. And the kid with cancer would just be sitting there staring at him with his straight face while she had suction cups on his head. It looked like one of those aliens from Toy Story. So she finished her little break and was to stop. So then she continued teaching. It was the final nail of the camel.
Like a little present from the underground.
It was the final nail in the camel. No, that's not it. I broke a camel's back. No, I don't even know what I'm saying. Hey Siri, what's the phrase that goes blah 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 camel's back?
That's a great question. The phrase you're referring to goes like this.
Okay, well, point is, the teacher was fed up with us. As you can see, I'm not lying about the fact that I was not
Just
paying
for
attention
me.
to this class. It's probably why I have friends that are currently going to my parents' closet making ditty jokes. I just know my parents wish they got a daughter instead. But after my teacher got done beefing with the cancer patient, she went back to presenting the notes. Class was normal for a couple minutes while she was doing this, until I got a text from my friend that said, "You won't throw me piece of gum right now," when she turned around. Now, although that sentence might sound like Patrick Starr wrote it, the reason he was saying it like that is because all my friends have a rule. No matter what the circumstances are, if one of us are dared to do something and we don't want to do it, you have to do it if the other person says, "You won't." I don't remember how it started, but it's just our rule. So he clearly said this because he knew how flustered the teacher was and he wanted to see if I would do it. And listen, I was still a young kid at the time. My frontal lobe hasn't fully developed yet. It still hasn't. It probably never will. So my brain is fried. Probably never will. So my brain is fried. But because of this, I was up for the challenge. Although we didn't sit close to each other at all in this class. He was literally on the other side of the room. So I knew I was going to have to throw an absolute dime accurately. I'm talking like a LeBron James level pass. I love you, LeBron. I do it because he said you won't. So we make eye contact and I show him that pulling out the gum. And we both kind of nod to each other like it's goes now. So I give the gum after a kiss, hoping that it's going to go exactly where I want it to. But just like that scene in Talladega Nights where they're running to the finish line in slow motion, with all the power I have, I launched a piece of gum. It felt like I was looking at that thing in the air for 5 hours, but unfortunately, the millisecond that gum left my hand, I knew it wasn't going where I wanted it to. Matter of fact, it wasn't even close. So what? The gum didn't make it. It will just land on the floor and the teacher won't notice, right? Well, that would have been the case if it didn't hit her in the head. And I don't know what in the exorcist happened after that. She was somehow able to turn her head like 270 degrees, and she did it super quickly. Then she looked. Obviously, all the students snitch on me right away because they kind of look at her eyes and they knew that I was so they didn't want any part of that. And after she realized how we did, it was so true. She then puts her hand down, and you can tell she doesn't really grab my hand and start bouncing it. Shaking. In a moment of clarity, after a few seconds, she stops. She was able to calm herself down, and instead of feeling Will Smith at the Oscars,
The underground have been sighted messing with the billboard, FYI.
And knowing I just narrowly escaped my demise, I exhaled, thinking I'm safe. I thought she'd calm down and realize that she didn't do anything crazy. But as she's about to go back to teaching, she turns toward the whole class and decides that she does want to smoke today. She wasn't going to take any more disrespect from a kid who's teaching dance in 10th grade. Not me. I just have a big kid who looked a lot like me. Anyways, she starts screaming at the class. She pointed to individually basically saying why they all suck, including me. She said it was amazing how much I taught her in class without saying anything useful. But she's going on this road.
Yep. The underground took over that billboard. Bet they're close by, finding the silly.
And without her knowing, one kid reported this whole crash out.
Locking on.
We went to the office and showed the video to the principal. So literally the next day, we walk into class and the principal is waiting there with the teacher.
What the
So that
hell?
means the teacher
Guys,
individually
it's-
apologizes for all of us for everything she said. Clearly only because
What?
the principal made her do it. And then the principal tells us that we're going to have a substitute for her. But this substitute just ended up being
Locking
our
on.
teacher for the rest of the year. So I don't know if our regular teacher just ended up sailing into the sunset for this like she wanted. But the one thing I do know is that this could have all been avoided if the Bengals just won the dang Super Bowl.
Need to tune my suit to track their interference.
If you were being bullied to the point where you were scared to show up to school, stop. That is something I never thought I was capable of when I was in this situation. Let me break down what happened. I was in 4th grade, and this kid in my class would just not leave me alone. He was always roasting me about something. You guys are what do you mean? You're so amazing. So I roast you. Well, back in 4th grade, I was not the best looking person. I had crooked teeth. I didn't know how to talk to people. I was looking for too. There was nothing to pick on if you just looked at me. And I knew the exact reason why this guy in my class was being a bully. We sat at the same table by coincidence. But there there was also another person that sat with us. But this wasn't just another normal student. No, it was the girl that the kid who was bullying me tried to push on. So I guess to try and impress her, he would just pick on me all the time, hoping the girl would think it was funny. And I can't even lie. He was pretty funny a lot of the time. It's like, I could see that I was pretty chubby when I was younger because my hair was mostly consisting of my roots. And Loki still kind of does. But unfortunately, there was no such thing as I was just stuck being thin. So I can't even blame her for all the times he would bully me.
If you ever wanted to stop an out-of-control helicopter, check the marker.
So anyways, I despised this one. Because not only was he making fun of me in front of everyone, he was doing it in front of the whole class. And at times, in front of the whole school. Looking nice, and he would do the most diabolical things to me just because he
No
didn't
hacking helicopter!
He literally sprayed, far sprayed, me right when school started. Nothing. What was his reasoning for doing this, you ask? It was just a
Underground down, transmitter next.
This one gets crazy because after the teacher told him to stop harassing me, he listened. She made a switch seat so that they
You gotta take down more transmitters.
Search his name on Google. You know what the first thing it up me to see where it led to. To those of you who have been watching for content, you may recall that when this originally
Okay, time to worry about the transmitter.
I just put the name of the building first thing
Careful!
So as you can see, I'm not too upset about this. This you believe me when I say that I only made this video because the content was so insane. So I would just put on the side to show
Gotta take out the transmitter.
Tell me how this actually correlates to you saying you burned his house down. This video. So I pressed the button and I didn't do anything with it until I got a phone call on the same number. So once again, pressed the button. But then I got a call from the same for a third day. And if it happens 2 times, I don't really care. But if I get a call from a number 3 days in a row, I'm starting to think something is up. So this time, I answered the call. I pick up the phone, say, hello. The other end responds with, hi, is this Tyler Vitelli? tell them yes it is, and they respond back to me saying, "Hi Tyler, this is Detective Romero with the, I don't want to say the city, but he was a part of the police department of the city I lived in." So when he said that, my heart started to beat a little faster, and I became real nervous because in my head, I was like, what could a detective with the police department of the city that possibly want to do with me? Chet, not touching grass is not a crime. You're just physically gagged out of that sentence. But anyways, I was pretty confident that there was nothing I could have done wrong that would
Yeah, I don't touch grass.
why he was calling. And he
I'm so lucky touch
ongoing
not
investigation.
touching grass is a crime. I'm so lucky.
Questions. So, okay, what is the investigation?
Got a break in nearby.
And he tells me a name.
Maybe a job
and
for that
never about
Spider-Man
who
fella.
And asked if I knew him. I did. Who was this name that they asked about? My bully whose house burned down. So I'm still trying to connect all the dots here because the video I made a couple days ago just completely left my brain. Like I said, it was just a funny 5-second video and I didn't think anything more of it. So I was like, I haven't seen this kid in forever. Getting a call from a detective. I would tell a detective, yeah, I kind of do remember him. And they say to me, kinda? It doesn't seem like you just know him. I would say you really know him. So I was like, sure, I guess I know him pretty well, but it's been a long time since I've seen him. He then goes, yeah, that's what I thought. Well, so with this guy's mysterious act all of a sudden, like I have no idea what's going on, so I'm just waiting to just get to the point. Look out! I'm talking to a detective in real life, so I wasn't sure how the interaction was actually supposed to go. I was kind of getting the mission that this guy just saw one too many episodes of Criminal Minds and was like, hey, I'm gonna be a detective. I would genuinely think this, and you may say that's stupid, but hey, that's how I chose my career. I just wanted to break bad once, and after I finished the series, I was like, yeah, that's it. I want to be a chemistry teacher. You thought I was going to say the other job in the show, huh? Nah, that's not what I wanted to do. But regardless of how good or bad I thought this detective was at his job, I still knew there was no good reason for me to be getting a call from him. So I had to be on my best behavior. Instead of forgiving him for trying to talk about doing this much, I asked him why he was calling me. This guy that I hadn't seen in years. And then he told me that he was a detective. The case involved that bullies burning down. And when he said this, I was thinking, oh yeah, now I get it. What a coincidence. There's been a video of this. And then I was like, wait, why would there need to be a detective on this case? My guy was probably just trying to make a flamethrower using his fart spray and a lighter and accidentally caught the whole house on fire. Yes, I am 22 years old and find fart spray. But when I asked why there was a detective on this case, he told me it was believed that the fire didn't just start from natural causes.
one of our actors is
They
a
had
hostage
reason to
inside a
believe
store near
it started from arson, meaning someone purposely burned his house down. This didn't really surprise me though, because this guy made a lot of villains. You know how bad he treated me, just imagine how bad he treated other people. But when the detective said this, I knew exactly why I was getting a phone call now, and I wasn't laughing anymore. Because this was the moment
That
where
looks like a robbery by some rap
this
prisoners.
situation a couple days ago, and I showed all you guys the video of me reacting to his house burning down. And let me ask you this question: did that look like the reaction of someone who was sad about their bully's house burning down? You know what? Here, watch it again and tell me if I look guilty. In the jail. For the first time after the detective told me what was happening, that was my first thought. Because does that look like someone who's innocent to you? It sure doesn't to me. And I was the one who made it. You're watching that even almost made me be like, wait, did I burn his house down? I had motive because he bullied me, and I clearly did not have remorse because I was bobbing my head like this when I reacted to it. So I did not think my thoughts were looking good, because I've seen all the TV shows just like this detective has. If they even have the slightest piece of evidence on you, they're gonna say you're guilty. It is what the jury thinks. Because we're actually in court, and the judges will evidence you have that father's guilty. Oh, there's anything on me? Okay. Is it Tully? Is this you? Allegedly guilty. I don't need to see any more evidence. Lock this guy up. No, Josh, wait. Can I at least say goodbye to my mom first? No, absolutely not. But you can say hello to your new neighbor. Did he? No, please. That is exactly what I thought was going to happen with this video being used as evidence. But I knew I wasn't guilty, so I told the detective that if